Hi everyone. In this video we are going to look at Statutory Instrument 701 of 2020, which was enacted yesterday and which has resulted in the entire state of Ireland going back into a similar level 5 lockdown as last April. When you are contemplating the restrictions set out in this video, you should be aware that your personal freedoms have been stripped as a result of the following best estimates by the CDC of the infection fatality ratio, so the ratio of deaths to total number of persons infected for various age groups with Covid-19. If you are 0 to 19 years and you catch Covid-19, the data suggests that you have a survival rate of 99.997%. If you are 20 to 49 years and you catch Covid-19, the data suggests you have a survival rate of 99.98%. If you are 50 to 69 years and you catch Covid-19, the data suggests you have a survival rate of 99.5%. If you are 70 plus years and you catch Covid-19, the data suggests you have a survival rate of 94.6%. The message that these figures deliver is that Covid-19 does not pose a real or imminent serious threat to the health of the population in general, but only to the health of a specific part of the population, that being the elderly and a limited number of people with chronic conditions. Age is the single most important factor, with a worldwide 99.95% infection survival rate for people under the age of 70 and a 95% infection survival rate for people aged 70 years and over. So every time you see a new statutory instrument being published by the Irish government, and every time the heading of the statutory instrument reads, "Having regard to the immediate, exceptional and manifest risk posed to human life and public health by the spread of Covid-19, please remember the infection survival rates just discussed and question why the government are enacting the restrictions we see today." So let's now take a look at Statutory Instrument 701 of 2020. The regulation is split over 14 sections as follows. Section 1 confirms that the regulation comes into operation on the 31st of December 2020 and will remain in force until the 31st of January 2020. However, I would personally expect this date to be extended. Section 2 revokes Statutory Instrument 560. This was the regulation that came into operation on the 4th of December and was amended several times over the Christmas period, such that even I found it difficult to follow the regulations in the end. Section 3 is the definition section. I do not propose to go into the definitions as we have covered them many times in previous videos. Section 4 deals with restrictions of movement in relation to travel from your place of residence. This Section 4 provides that you may not leave your home without a reasonable excuse. And a reasonable excuse includes the following. A. For work where 1. Such work relates to an essential retail outlet or an essential service, and 2. It is not practicable to engage in such work from the person's place of residence. B. To perform the functions of an office holder. C. Farming. D. Education. E. Accompany to education any other person residing with you or a vulnerable person. F. Access childcare facilities. G. Attend a medical or dental appointment or accompany to such an appointment any other person residing with you or a vulnerable person. H. Seek essential medical, dental or health assistance for you or any other person residing with you or a vulnerable person. I. Donate blood. J. Seek veterinary assistance. K. Attend to vital family matters, including providing care to vulnerable persons. Note this is a very broad excuse that could make permissible your travel for a multitude of reasons. L. Attend a funeral or a wedding. M. Fulfill a legal obligation. N. Give effect to custody arrangements. O. In the case of a minister of religion or priest, 1. Lead worship or services remotely. 2. Minister to the sick. Or 3. Conduct funeral or wedding services. P. Move to another residence. Q. Return to the person's place of residence. Or, where the person is not ordinarily resident in the state, leave the state. S. Provide emergency assistance. T. To go to an essential retail outlet for yourself or any other person residing in your home. Note that the full list of essential retail outlets is included at the schedule part 1A and includes the likes of outlets selling food or beverages on a takeaway basis, markets that sell food, hardware and other similar type stores, chemists, petrol and heating fuel stations, pet stores, dry cleaners, banks, post office and credit unions, PPE stores, car and bicycle repair shops, any other retail outlet that can offer a remote system of ordering goods for collection, so click and collect shops, hotels or similar accommodation insofar as they sell food or beverages for consumption on the premises, but only in accordance with paragraph 8 of this regulation, opticians and outlets that provide hearing test services. So back to the list of reasonable excuses. U, to go to an essential retail outlet for a vulnerable person. V, access to essential services. Note the full list of essential services is included at the schedule part 2 and includes the likes of agriculture, manufacturing, supply, repair and installation of machinery and equipment, electricity, gas, etc., construction and development. You might recall that construction was not included as an essential service back in April 2020, but was later added to the list. Wholesale and retail trade, transport, storage and communication, accommodation and food services, information and communications, financial and legal activities, scientific and technical activities, rental and leasing, admin and support services, public administration, emergency and defence, human health and social work, education, community and voluntary services, and diplomatic missions. Now we will go back once again to the reasonable excuses. W, in the case of a person who is part of a paired household, travel to an event in their home in accordance with section 5 of this regulation. X, exercise, either alone, with persons from your home, with persons from one other house, but any such exercise must be done within a 5-kilometre radius of your home. Y, attend a retail outlet or indoor leisure facility specified in Part 1B of the schedule. However, this reasonable excuse is no longer available as it only applied up to 6 p.m. on December 31st, 2020. And Z, attend the offices of a planning authority or on board Planola. Note that this Section 4 is a penal provision. Section 5 deals with restrictions on events in dwellings and provides that you may only hold an event in a dwelling for social or recreational purposes if the dwelling is your place of residence and where those attending the event are part of the same or a paired household, noting that this Regulation 5 is a penal provision. Section 6 explains what a paired household is and confirms that you may agree with one other household to pair for the purposes of attending events in each other's homes under Section 5. Section 7 deals with restrictions on persons attending events in dwellings and provides that you may not, without a reasonable excuse, attend an event for social or recreational purposes in a dwelling unless you are part of the same or a paired household as the person organising the event, noting that this Section 7 is a penal provision. Section 8 deals with restrictions on relevant events and funerals. So a relevant event is an event held for social, recreational, exercise, cultural, entertainment or community reasons, but excluding A, an event to be held in a dwelling, B, a wedding reception, C, a sporting event, or D, a training event. So under this Section 8, you cannot organise a relevant event other than to exercise outdoors, A, alone, B, with persons who live in your home, C, with persons from one other residence, or D, with persons from your household and one other residence. Noting that any such exercise must be carried out within a 5-kilometre distance from your home. Note also that this section is a penal provision. This Section 8 also provides that only 10 persons, excluding the priest, can attend a funeral. Note the section on funerals is not noted as being a penal provision. So what this means is that if more than 10 people attend a funeral, the person organising the funeral will not be open to sanction. Section 9 deals with wedding receptions and provides that between the 31st of December and the 2nd of January, 25 persons may attend a wedding that is not in a private home. And between the 3rd of January and the 31st of January, only 6 persons may attend a wedding that is not in a private home. This Section 9 is not noted as being a penal provision. Section 10 deals with restrictions on sporting events and Section 11 goes into restrictions on training events. I do not propose to summarise either of these sections. Section 12 deals with the carrying on or provision of certain businesses or services and provides that a specified person, so this is the controller, occupier, manager or person in charge of the premises, can only allow access to a premises to A worker who is providing an essential service or working in an essential retail outlet, B, to members of the public where the premises is an essential retail outlet or providing an essential service. Note this section is a penal provision. Section 13 sets out the requirements in relation to hotels and other services and provides that a specified person must ensure that 1. Members of the public are not permitted access to a relevant premises. With a relevant premises meaning a premises where food or non-alcoholic beverages may be sold for consumption on the premises, or food or beverages may be sold for consumption on such premises but alcohol may not be so consumed. 2. Relevant guests. So this means persons who are guests of the hotel on the 26th of December, guests who are travelling for purposes other than social, recreational, cultural or tourist purposes, guests who are staying at the hotel as emergency accommodation, and guests attending a wedding. So this section applies to relevant guests who are not residents of the hotel and states that such guests can only remain on the premises after 11:30 p.m. to collect or order food or non-alcoholic beverages. 3. Relevant guests who are residents of the hotel cannot after 11:30 p.m. order alcohol. 4. Relevant guests can only order alcohol for consumption on the premises if they also order and consume a substantial meal while seated at a table. This section also provides for the recording of certain data such as the time and date that each relevant guest accessed the premises, their name and phone number and a record of the substantial meal ordered. Note this section is noted as being a penal provision. Section 14 deals with data protection and provides that the collecting and processing of your data under this statutory instrument is permissible under law. So that concludes a brief look at the statutory instrument. The last thought I want to leave you with is something we discussed at the start of this video. And that is, according to the CDC, Covid-19 has a worldwide 99.95% infection survival rate for people under the age of 70 and a 95% infection survival rate for people aged 70 years or more, with age being the single biggest risk factor. Ask yourself whether it is fair or proportionate that people should lose everything they have worked their entire lives to achieve on the basis of those figures. And also ask yourself whether those figures justify stripping an entire nation of freedoms that are not given to free citizens by governments, but that are universal and inalienable and therefore exist by virtue of the fact that we are human and alive. Please question everything. Thanks for listening.